Hello. Welcome to Protecting Yourself While Helping Others. This video will show you how using body mechanics and ergonomics can reduce the chances of getting hurt while caring for your residents. First, before providing care, always check the care plan to verify the resident's transfer status, including the equipment and number of staff needed to complete the task. If you question whether a resident can perform at the level stated on the care plan, stop and get help. If in doubt, ask. Next, plan the transfer and prepare the area. Gather all equipment and staff needed, and clear the area of obstacles. Keep in mind these basic ergonomic principles when caring for your residents. Keep the load close. Keep the resident's center of gravity, or hips, as close to your center of gravity as possible. Bend elbows. Don't work at arm's length. Squat. Don't bend. Don't twist. Have feet and shoulders pointing in the direction you and the resident are moving. Take steps in order to turn your body. Stable footing. Use a wide base of support if possible. Be sure you'll be able to keep good balance throughout the transfer. Get a grip. Use a gait belt if a lift is not used and if the resident requires hands-on assistance and can tolerate it. Use smooth motions. Avoid jerking. Use slow, coordinated movement. Allow the resident to do what they can. Assist the resident to get into the best position for them to accomplish the movement. Always ask for the movement first, then wait and see what the resident can do. Give the resident time to respond. Now let's look at using these principles while using lift equipment. When you use the push plate, straight line drive, and know how to guide the casters without fighting them, you reduce the work you need to do and your chance of getting hurt. The metal loop is down when the straight line drive is engaged. When you remember to squat and work with your partner to apply and remove the slings, you reduce the work and chance of injury to you and your resident. Now let's see how we can ensure good body mechanics for our residents and ourselves during bed mobility. You often are called upon to boost a resident in bed or move them close to the head of the bed. If the resident requires assistance of two caregivers and the resident's bed is against the wall, you will need to refer to the manufacturer's instructions on proper bed movement. Raise the bed to the proper caregiver height. Now you are ready to help the resident to boost up in bed. With the resident flat on their back, ask the resident to bend his knees and place feet flat on the bed. You may need to assist by stabilizing the knees or assisting on his weak side. Remove the pillow and place against the headboard. Ask the resident to push with their feet. If available, ask them to pull on assist rails or trapeze to slide up to the head of the bed. The caregiver may need to assist at knees or shoulders. Readjust pillows and return bed to safe height. Residents who are unable to assist should be evaluated for the use of slider sheets. This information will be in the resident's care plan. If slider sheets are care planned, follow the training for their use. Now let's look at assisting a resident to roll side to side. If two people are required for bed mobility, the resident should be evaluated for use of a slider sheet. If a slider sheet is not care planned, follow these steps. With resident assisting as able, bring the resident to the side of the bed away from the side he is rolling to. Assist the resident to bend his knees with feet flat on the bed. Stabilize knees as necessary. Then, by turning his shoulders and hips, assist the resident to turn to his side. Make comfortable, positioning according to care plan. Return bed to safe height. If the resident's care plan reads assist of 1 for bed mobility, the resident is more able to assist and the steps will be the same. Ask the resident to bend his knees and place feet flat on the bed. You may need to assist by stabilizing the knees or the feet. Ask resident to lift hips and move to the side opposite of the roll. Assist as needed at hips and shoulders. Ask the resident to reach across his body, turning knees and hips to lie on his side. Readjust pillows and return bed to safe height. If the resident's care plan states the use of a slider sheet, follow manufacturer's instructions for rolling. Moving to sit over the edge of the bed is often difficult and a safety concern for caregivers and residents. When applicable, follow your restorative and rehabilitative guidelines. As always, raise the bed to safe working height for caregiver. If the resident is lying on his weak side, ask the resident to place their upper hand on the assist rail if available. Ask resident to bend their knee and assist to pull both legs toward edge of bed while staying on their side. Lower the bed to the proper height for your resident to transfer out of bed. This is done easily with the auto transfer button on the hand control. Raise the head of the bed to a level that will assist the resident to come to sitting. The higher the bed, the easier it will be for the resident to sit up. Ask resident to swing feet over the edge of the bed and pull with arms to come to sitting at the edge of the bed, or assist as needed to ask resident to swing legs. If needed, assist this motion from the resident's shoulders or hips or knees. Give the resident a moment to adjust to sitting and to get his feet flat on the floor. If resident is lying on his strong side, the same technique is used, but the resident pushes with the stronger arm. To assist the resident to lie down, let's look at reversing the steps we just took. Ensure the resident is sitting on the side of the bed with feet on the floor. The resident needs to be far back on the bed with thighs well supported. This is important for the resident to remain securely on the bed while moving to lying down. Raise the bed to a good working height for caregivers. Raise the head of the bed. How high you raise the head of the bed depends on how much the resident can assist. The less they can assist, the higher the head of the bed needs to be. Ask the resident to lay down onto their side against the raised bed while keeping their arms in front of their body. At the same time, swinging their feet up onto the bed. If needed, assist this motion at the resident's shoulders, hips, or knees. Ask the resident to roll onto his back or position onto his side, depending on resident's care plan or preference. Readjust pillows and return bed to safe height. Stand pivot transfer from bed to wheelchair. Prepare the area. Obtain equipment and assistance as needed. Whenever possible, have the resident transfer to their stronger side. If the resident requires hands-on assistance, use a gait belt. The gait belt is placed at or just above the waist. Adjust to fit snugly. Do not allow the resident to put their arms around your neck or waist. Do not pull the resident by their hands or arms. Do not reach under the resident's arms or put yourself in a position to be off balance or increase the risk of injury. For a one-person assisted stand pivot transfer, ask the resident, assisting if needed, to move to the edge of the bed. Stand slightly behind and on the resident's weaker side. Ask the resident and assist if needed to lean forward. Direct the resident on the count of 3 to push up from the bed with 1 or 2 hands. Instruct the resident to reach for the armrest or destination with the leading hand. The resident pivots their hips and may take 1 step to line up with the seat. If the resident cannot safely pivot or take steps, report to supervisor for evaluation of a sit-to-stand lift. When well aligned, ask the resident to lower self slowly into wheelchair. If the resident's care plan requires assistance of 2 caregivers, the second caregiver stands between the wheelchair and the bed. This allows the caregiver to guide the resident's center of gravity or hips into the chair using the gait belt. Direct the resident to reach for the arms of the wheelchair. The same techniques are used when transferring a resident to toilet or transferring to a shower chair or bench, making use of grab bars when needed. Walking with a resident. The resident's care plan may call for supervised or assisted walking. Use a gait belt and position yourself as you would for the previous transfer. For assist of 1, the caregiver is to the side and slightly behind the resident. For assist of 2, the caregivers are on either side of the resident. When approaching a chair, the resident turns the walker alternately with their feet, stepping towards the destination. The resident positions themselves directly in front of the seat and backs up as far as possible. Then, letting go of 1 hand at a time, reaches back to the armrest, assist bar or surface, and slowly lowers self to sitting. If you are assisting a resident to walk and they suddenly lose their balance or strength and begin to fall, you will need to lower the resident to the floor. Do not hold the resident up if they are falling. Your job is to ease their fall if possible. Use the gait belt or place hands on hips if not wearing a gait belt. Move close to the resident so your hips are near theirs. Bend your knees and move to the floor with the resident. If possible, try to protect the resident's head. Keep your shoulders back and try not to bend at the waist as you lower the resident to the floor. You should end up sitting or kneeling on the floor with the resident. Transfer from the floor. Make the resident comfortable and reassure them. After following your community's procedure for clinical evaluation after a resident fall, the resident may be cleared to transfer from the floor. Resident must be clinically assessed. If the resident has been clinically cleared for transfer and appears able to transfer from the floor without you lifting them, you may guide the resident into a chair. Once the resident is calm and you have explained the transfer, bring over a stable chair. Instruct and guide the resident to come to hands and knees or sit side saddle. Guide them to hold onto the seat or arms of the chair while one caregiver stabilizes and positions the chair. Using a gait belt, guide but do not lift the resident as the resident pulls themselves up into the chair. A resident who had the strength and balance to ambulate may be capable of this transfer. If at any time the resident is not able to support his own weight, have the resident lie down and get a total lift, or make another plan that does not involve caregivers lifting the resident. Overall, your job during resident movement is not lifting. It is keeping you and your resident safe. Encourage your resident to participate to the best of their ability. If in doubt, ask for guidance. This concludes the training video on protecting yourself while helping others. Thank you for watching, and if you need more information or further assistance, please ask your supervisor.